And I think back, and I tell my wife this, but I think back that how many people, when they get out of jail, they go back to doing the same thing uh, because they need to hold a job, but nobody wants to hire them because, you know, they're criminals and they have convictions, you know. But so then when I became a welder, I found out, you know, at that time, this is what now, 2007, 2008, and I was making like $9 an hour, and I thought I was making like good money. And then I found out, hey, you know, if you learn how to weld pipe, you can make $30 an hour. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna do that. So I went and tried to do that. I busted a bunch of weld tests because to be a welder, uh, it doesn't matter if you go to school. That's why when I hear people going to school, like the moment you try to get a job, they'll make you take a test, a weld test.
Okay.
And if you pass the test, you get the job. If you fail the test, you don't get the job. So, and they don't care if you, oh, well, I went to Tulsa Welding School or so whatever. They don't care. They don't care. As long as you can pass that test, that's it. And so I started doing that. Then I hear from the pipe welders, man, if you get your own rig and you get your welding machine and you work in the pipeline, you can make $4,000 a week.
Hmm.
I was like, what? What? Hold on, what? You know? So I said, man. So I started working on buying my tools and doing all that. And I said, you know what? That's what I'm gonna do. And you know, and again, I'm trying to condense it, but my wife, you know, we were struggling. I met my wife, and you know, we had kids, and um, you know, at the same time trying to pay bills, and I'm trying to do this to make 4 grand a week, you know.
Right.
And so when I finally did have the truck, and I had myself in debt getting it, I said, you know what? Well, I'm gonna go. I finally got it's called the well test, right? And the thing about the pipeline is that if wherever the job is, that's where you have to go. So if the job is in Oklahoma, or the job is uh, in let's just
And
say Kansas,
you,
wherever,
you got to travel.
you got to travel there on your own dime. Take the well test. If you pass it,
You stay.
you got the job,
Wow.
and then you get paid for that day. But if you fail, you got to drive back with no money. You know, you whatever you spent, you know, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I went and did that, and I failed 3 times. So those 3 times that I went, I was losing money.
But what was your thought process on that? Like, man, I failed 3 times. What went through your mind?
Well, I was thinking, man, maybe I'm not, you know, maybe this isn't for me, you know, like maybe I'm not that good as I thought I was. And then what was hurting more was that my wife was saying that too. She was saying, maybe, you know, because after the second time that I failed the test, I used up my money and they disconnected our lights. So
Mm.
my wife, you know, my nana, you know, my girls had to take a shower in cold water that week, you know.
Oh, they
So
were pissed.
yeah, they were pissed. Yeah. Uh, so yeah, you know, I felt really bad. You know, I felt really like, man. And when she said maybe it's not for everyone, you know, and that's what I was thinking when she said that. Man, it hurt, dude. And then the fourth time came around.